Hello everyone, how are you all doing? Welcome back to my channel. So today I'll be showing you how I make fermented cucumbers. If you want to know how to make fermented cucumbers, please keep watching. To begin, I've got my washed Japanese cucumbers. They are slender, long and have very few seeds in them, but feel free to use any variety of cucumber that's available where you live. Next, I've got my sea salt. I'll be using 1 tablespoon of sea salt for this fermentation. And next, I've got some dried chilies. And some dried peppercorns. And over here, I've got my cloves of garlic which I've peeled and bay leaves. And of course, a jar, because a fermentation isn't complete without a jar. And next, I've got my fresh dill. And lastly, I've got my water, which is 400 ml, which is approximately 2 cups of water. Here is an overview of all the ingredients. If you're new to fermentation and wondering why I'm using bay leaves in my fermented cucumber, I'm adding the bay leaves because it contains tannin, which helps the cucumbers to remain crunchy rather than mushy when they're in the water. So if you don't have bay leaves, you could also use a tea bag. Just chuck in a tea bag into your fermentation jar and you're good to go. And in case you go to the supermarket and can't find bay leaf, it's also called laurel. And about using a tea bag, feel free to use any type of tea bag because naturally all teas contain tannin. Next, I'm going to make my brine. I've got 2 cups of water, which is equivalent to 400 ml, like I said earlier, and I'm going to be adding 1 tablespoon of salt to it. That's sea salt. So I'm just going to give it a stir and let it sit while I begin cutting the cucumbers. While the salt is dissolving, I'm going to begin cutting the cucumbers. But first, I'm going to cut off the ends. Then I'm going to divide the cucumbers into 2, then cut them into spears. Also, feel free to cut them into slices or whichever shape you want. I just prefer to go with spears. Remember, just as with any fermented vegetable, I'm going to make sure that the spears are similar in size so as to ensure that the cucumbers are evenly fermented. Now that I'm done cutting the cucumbers, this is what they look like. Next, I'm going to start transferring my ingredients into the jar. Remember to always keep your utensils clean and to wash your hands so as to avoid any form of contamination, because having a moldy fermented vegetable isn't cool at all. This is not in any particular order, but I'm going to start with the black peppercorn. I am not using measurements because with the spices you can either choose to use lots of spices or less according to your preference. Just go with the flow with this one. And next, I'm going to add my garlic, and I'm just using my fingers to crush the garlics and throw them in. Next, I'm going to add in a few bay leaves. For this one, I'm adding in 4 bay leaves. Next, I'm adding in the dried chillis. And now I'm going to add in the fresh dill. I'm not chopping the dill, I'm just going to tear them and chuck them into the jar. So far, this is what the jar looks like. Now, I'm going to start arranging the cucumbers into the jar. I'm going to try to stuff the jar with as much cucumbers as I can. I'm going to keep it tightly packed. And now, this is what it looks like. You can see how tightly packed the cucumbers are. And I'm just going to add one more bay leaf just because I've got an extra bay leaf. Next, I'm going to add in the brine, which is the sea salt water mixture. For this fermented cucumber recipe, I'm not going to add in any weights because the cucumbers are tightly packed and probably won't float around or get dislodged. So I'm not going to use any weights. So this is what the first jar looks like. And over here, I've got a second jar with the leftover cucumbers. Next, I'm going to leave them to ferment for 4 days. By the way, I've got a fermented foods playlist, which I'm going to link somewhere above this video, so please do check them out. Now it's the 4th day and my fermented cucumbers are ready. I decided to go with 4 days because cucumbers are soft and ferment easily. Now look at that color. As you can see, the vibrant fresh green color has turned slightly brown, which is beautiful. And again, that's me attempting to take a thumbnail. I just can't get over how beautiful this looks. I can't wait to dig in. And now it's time for a taste test. I've got a fork and a plate with me. Let's open it up. Please do excuse the background noise. And that's what the inside looks like. Look at that beautiful olive green color. Next, I'm gonna scoop out a few cucumbers and dig in. My oh my, that was so good. Look at the smile on my face. I'm sure you can tell. It was super crunchy and delicious. Can you hear the crunch as well? I think this is one of my favorite fermented vegetables I've ever made. I'm gonna go in for another one. This is amazing. Just listen to that crunch. So crunchy. I can taste the dill, the garlic and the peppercorn. It was an explosion of flavors in my mouth. Just simply beautiful. Remember, if you want to try this recipe, adding bay leaves or tea bag is a must, as it will help keep your cucumber crunchy and not turn mushy. I guess we've come to the end of this video. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and feel free to share it with your loved ones who might be interested in fermented foods. And please subscribe to my channel, and I guess I'll see you in my next one. Take care. Bye.